Ah,
And we are live. Present, Paul, present.
I will
Let's hear it.
present. So, in
Not
our
like a
past
baboon,
videos,
though, please.
in our past videos, we were talking about this book, and as a
Yes.
companion book, which I believe this one, we said this one was written first. That we're going to dive into this, which is about proactive role playing versus reactive role playing. That basically when you're creating campaign design, those type of things, the book is making the statement that it is better to be proactive than to be reactive, to give your players that agency then to do the things they want to do versus always reacting to whatever the DM puts in front of them. So that is the premise we will be discussing, whether proactive or reactive or any of the things involved there are any good for anybody's table.
Is that what you think the premise is too, Tim? Is that a good premise?
Sounds like it. Yeah.
So here's the real premise. These guys called proactive playing something that we've been talking about for years. It's just called sandbox gaming. That's my take. Let's dive into this topic, boys and girls, now that we've framed our argument.
It's not an argument. We're discussing. Nobody arguing here.
We're discussing. What it sounds better. We get more clicks
later, but it's not starting as one.
We got more clicks if we say argument than if we just say we're having a friendly discussion.
I'm not, well,
if there's a threat of violence, people
Paul's too pure for that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's got to be a threat of violence, or else people won't click in.
Look, I'm into collaborative videos. Collaboration video design is what we're doing here.
Oh, is this a reactive video or a proactive
videos? Right?
We are reacting. Say
this is a reactive video to this. Clearly,
yeah, we're reacting to the proacting.
That's true. That's true.
That's right.
Well, it was a chicken or the egg shit here, though.
Maybe.
All right, man. So tell us. So what's going on? Since you wanted to read this thing, what's going on with the book? I thought this was a good book. I'll say that. Even though I started, I did think it was a good book.
Did you read the Jenny G.D.? I can't remember her name.
Jenny
in the beginning.
Double D.
Yeah. Jenny D. Jenny D.
Jenny Double D. Yeah.
Jenny. It is D. Okay.
Yeah.
I think there's one D in there officially, but yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, I mean, they got her to do the forward, which is good for them because she
does products with them. She has a couple of products.
That's right.
The
boons and
so that was an authentic forward.
It should tell you about the audience they are trying to reach, which is part of what we're kind of
discussing. We're going to get into.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, we'll get into that's part of the thing we're going to talk about as we dive deeper. Paul, so what is proactive role playing, man? What are they talking about? Give us the principles.
So the proactive role playing, as I described kind of in the introduction, is basically proactive role playing. So the difference is this: if you take us and say, okay, we're going to go do a dungeon thing, right? You might take us and just put us directly in front of the dungeon and go, okay, that's where we're going, that's what we're doing, and now we are now reacting to what it is you as a DM has put it in front of us.
Yes.
Right. You said, here's the game. Here's what you're doing. And now you're going to play and react to all the things that I have planned here behind the screen.
And that's like every one shot ever made or every con game ever made.
Right.
Right.
And I think too, we must say too, that I think they're describing this not as you're not doing this for one shots. You're doing this for campaigns, which is why they wrote the other book.
Yeah.
Right.
That's about campaigns. So yeah. And none of the reactive part of that, the reaction part of that is saying, okay, that's one shots. If you're doing a campaign, things like that you're developing, you're saying, okay, to keep these players coming. And I have a point about this I'll make later that may describe kind of like what the difference is here. But the reactive part is you're saying, okay, that they're saying the DM does a lot of work. Right? Because you're saying you got to react to everything I'm creating for you. Mm-hmm. I must plan everything. I must do everything. And if you're not a prep guy or whatever, I mean, you don't have to be a prep guy, but you're doing all the work regardless, whether you're prepping or not. And so they talk about working with your players collaborative. It's okay. Now everybody's got goals and what do you want to do? And this thing, you're not doing that at the beginning of a dungeon run. You're saying, look, we're going to go kill things. That's what we're going to do. Versus a campaign of 6 months, a year, whatever you're planning out. And then you're saying, okay, we're going to develop some goals. And then the dungeon masters are going to then set up those obstacles or those things that are going to, or we're going to include some things that are going to help develop your character, or at least put obstacles in your way to keep you from achieving some of those goals, or at least challenge those goals. And the one thing they say in here, guys, is this: they let the dice decide. There is no, in their version, what I read, the DM is not storytelling. The DM is saying the dice decide. What they are saying is that the goals that they're for campaign style play, players have goals. You then are now, they are acting actively. The proactive is, I have goals. I'm now going to try and go. So in other words, some of the pressure is off the DM in some way. All right, now I, the DM, am reacting to my players doing that. And once again, different DMs have different styles of that. There's some DMs that says, no, I don't want your input. Shut up. I'm running a game. Okay.
Yeah, no.
And then you have other DMs that say, yeah, I need some threads that I want to pull on to create these obstacles or factions or whatever. They're going to mess with your character a little bit and see if your character can overcome those things. So that is my explanation. Tim, tell me if I got that right.
No, I think that's spot on. But here's one of the things I think some of their examples are, I'm going to say, what's the word for it? They didn't give good examples, or they assumed too much in some of these things. I'm going to say in the first thing, and again, they do this thing where they use a lot of reference to movies and books for a gaming thing. I wish they would have kept it more rooted towards gaming examples and not always going, because if you use different examples from different media, which is okay, but it seems like they lean in too much. It just sort of dilutes what you're trying to do, because a movie and a book are completely different from gaming. But they use the example. They were talking about Gary Gygax and his grognard friends, who are steeped in the works of Tolkien and its derivatives, just as the wargaming roots of Gygax's original game gives rise to combat-heavy, action-packed rules set Dungeons and Dragons, a classic fantasy setting in their games, rise to modern reactive fantasy TTRPGs.
Yeah,
and I would argue this in one point. I mean, absolutely, it was definitely more of a reactive thing. But what they don't understand too, back then, we didn't really run campaigns. We had a module, and that's what we ran through.
That's it.
We would we would sit down, we would do that. But the one adventure, like, what's the most popular old school adventure?
Temple of Elemental Evil, or Keep on the Borderlands.
Keep on the Borderlands, because it was in the starter set. That was the one that sort of came in a mini campaign in a box. That was a very proactive thing. You went out and you decided to go out to.
I agree. There it is.
Well, that's In Search of Adventure. That's In Search of Adventure. Well, the other one,
I got it right over here. Wherever.
Keep on the Borderlands there. Yeah.
But you're right, Tim. Continue talking though, but you're exactly right about that. When you run something, we just ran it. There was no session zero. We didn't care what. We just said, look, here's the thing. That's what
we had a folder. We had a folder. I'm sure you guys were the same. I had a folder of characters, and if whoever's, hey guys, I'm going to run T1, because we never called them by their names. We called them by the initial. I'm running the T1 module tonight, which is Village of Hamlet. So I'm going to run that tonight. And then I would go through my folder and pick out a character to run, sit down, boom, we're done. We're gone for 4, 5, 6 hours.
I think the biggest difference in this, and it's rooted into the structure of this entire book, is the way they say they set goals. And I think that's the key to it, because all the examples they give at the very beginning were dead on accurate, in a sense that all fantasy, old school fantasy, and even a lot of new school stuff is just you're reacting against the Emperor and Darth Vader, you're reacting against Sauron, you're reacting against the bad guy, and they're doing something, you're reacting, then you got to kill him, right? It's the grand noble quest of heroic fantasy that we all come from, that tradition, right? There's Vader right fucking there, right? And so it's like, that's the thing. And carrying that over, our adventures back then were either fighting for the big Tolkien level quest that some DM maybe made up a clone of it, right? Because that's every fantasy book too. It was Ray Feist's book. It was the Shannara books, right? All the knockoff Tolkien derivatives. And so when you had all those things going on, or you came from the Swords and Sorcery Conan thing, which fit the more the module aspect, because you're going in, you're kicking ass, you're taking names, you're getting the shit, you're getting out, you're gonna party horde up.
It's very
get drunk, get
episodal.
laid. Very
Yeah.
episodic, right? And then you jump back into the next module that somebody bought. I'm running T, T whatever, I this,
Yeah.
X that, whatever the fuck, right? And so there were two schools. One was the Tolkien heroic fantasy, in which you were on this fucking reactive quest, and the other was there is no fucking campaign. You're just killing shit and taking their stuff. And then it grew in as we all matured, right? And we got smarter and we got older and we understood better, the way the world works. We all started making campaigns, right? Where the players, now we come up with this, a true sandbox, right? Not just a sandbox where this module is in this location, that module is in that location, going in between random encounters. I mean, and a story emerges from what the hell the forest is. Instead, the DM had a fucking world like Rob Connolly did, right? He creates his fucking world like Tim, you do with your whole Scorn campaign area, the Colmore Forest. You create these settings, and then you have a true sandbox, right? And in a true sandbox, you are proactive. That the difference, though, going back to what I initially started this rant with, is goals. Because in the original series, the goal was to beat the Dark Lord of whatever the hell it's called, or the goal was to kick ass, take names, and live it up high on the hog until you went broke and had to go back and kick ass, take names again, right? Now, we didn't even have goals in the campaigns that we made, even if they were sandboxes. It was still that there.
Just get powerful, basically.
Get powerful. Become a god, right? Like get the 9th level spells, whatever the fuck it was. That was our goal, was to advance and grow in power. The difference in the modern generation, which is what this book is written for, is you're setting personal goals for your PC. This goes back to the character arc discussion that we had in the other video, right? It's more subdued, but it's there because it permeates the stench of it, permeates this whole fucking book. These character goals, it doesn't imply an arc, but a goal was going to lead to somebody having an arc in their head. You know what I mean? They want to see it happen. Anyway, I talk too fucking much, but that's kind of where I'm at with it. No,
I think you're right though. And once again, I think I said in the other video too. Once again, I as a DM, if my character, if you're doing a campaign. And eventually, by the way, too, I think characters have goals, right? I mean, look, they want to take over something. Like my characters, wanted to start a bar. Like that's it. We want to own a tavern. Okay, that's cool. Now, if my DM ignores that completely, that's a thing, right? You're like, well, I want to start a bar. Well, no, I'm not going to do that because you're stupid or whatever. And so, I'm not. I'm gonna DM's going to ignore a goal that I may have. But but that's me being proactive though, rather than I have a goal.
Well,
like, I want to start a bar in this town, and
it can be both though. That's the one thing I hate about like some of these things is it's very pushing the proactive, and I get that. And I guess my point to that too is they were assuming that all of our games were reactive back in the day, and they weren't. They weren't. It's a bad assumption. So when I get that just automatically, because like for your example, Paul, so when you're running a campaign where you're looking to like say get a bar, the thing is there's just going to be a lot of reactive things that you're going to have to do to be proactive to get your bar. So in that way, you're always going to have that interaction with the two. They're not exclusive. They work together. And as we talked a little bit last time, a lot of the goals are going to come through play. And I'm going to backtrack here a little bit too, because I mean, if you think about it, we're talking about broad sweeps. If you're running, most of our campaigns have some sort of like status quo. Status quo's, the standard, like what is the norm and everything like that. And a lot of times the characters are reacting to someone who's disrupting the status quo.
Okay.
Or have maybe maybe they don't like the status quo. So they're in that case. So you have like the difference is if you live in or if your character's in a somewhat good world or decent world, they're going to try to defend that world. So they're going to defend it from evil or bad or changes and everything. Where if it's a bad world, then they can be proactive and they're like, we have to, but if they don't know about it, there's nothing for them to act on. Where if it's an evil campaign, it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter if it's another evil campaign because you want to replace it with your own evil. If it's good, you want to kind of take over at that. That's why it's kind of interesting that evil campaigns are way more proactive than good
I thought
campaigns.
that was a great
lot of
insight,
times.
actually. That was one of the redeeming factors of this book when you start talking about evil campaigns and everybody's proactive, having a great damn time. I'm like, you know what? I can see that totally. You know, I could
It
totally.
just goes too far sometimes. Sometimes the evil campaigns, it seems like every time, like the few that I've been in that were evil, I've had to kind of talk. I had to actually talk to my players that we don't. Let's do this intelligently and not
Yeah.
just be like
Mayhem.
I have no
Yeah.
I have no interest in running just a
Murder
nasty.
hobo.
Let's see. Yeah, I got no interest in running doing horrible things to people all the time. Like one of my favorite things is what Paul's actually doing. I mean, Paul's character in his campaign, the Hobbs, he's got a little evil streak through him. It's more self-serving kind of thing, but he's doing it in a smart way. It's because evil doesn't mean you just have to go out and just kill everybody.
Yeah.
It's like, it was the one mob movie. He may have killed Johnny in the back room, but he just donated $100 to the local soccer team so they can get jerseys for themselves.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So there's that's what evil is, in my opinion. It's the lack of empathy or compassion or anything for anybody else. It's complete self-centeredness. It doesn't mean you're going out there and killing anybody. It's just there's selflessness and pure selfishness, right?
Yeah.
Christ and whoever the hell's on the other end of it. You know what I mean? So if you want to look at it that way, so
but it could also be just a thing where they think they're actually doing good. Like, you get those, and they're just tearing shit down, and they have every good intention. They think they're just making better, but then it's like, I fucked up.
It often goes down to power and control.
Unintentional consequences or unintended consequences.
And I think that's a beautiful proactive campaign. I love, like you guys in the last campaign, it was almost like you Joe, you already had an idea of kind of what the end, because this was sort of a retro campaign, that last one, when you guys were trying to stop the whole, what was it, the card master or whatever. But you're on it. But what you ended up doing is having it result in what ends up going to happen anyways. You are going to release the demon, even though you were trying to stop it. You ended up making it worse.
Mm-hmm.
I love those kind of campaigns where these unintentional, you're being proactive, but an unintentional result happens.
Yeah. My brother, just
for good or bad.
Last time we played the game I'm running with him and Pete, right? They went into a crypt, old Warlock's crypt. They found a thing that goes down into the old aqueduct sewers of the old city, right? And then it came across this weird ass kind of Cthulhu horror thing going on down there. They reported the authorities. The Cthulhu hunting group of the world come in like, oh fuck, we're closing this shit up fast. Plug it, leave it, don't go down there again. Forget you ever saw it, right? So what my brothers do, we're going in. We're gonna get some shovels. We're gonna get. They go in. They ended up killing the Cthulhu thing with the thing I threw in there that caused massive damage, right? So they use it to kill Cthulhu thing, right? And so they got some loot. They come back now. All the shit they got from the old city was rare as fuck, right? So they got to sell this stuff. Now this is the old dilemma, like you, Tim. Where'd you get it? What are you gonna do with it? Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's like now it's notoriety. It has names on it. It's dated. Old 1,000-year-old like rum with dates, and you know what I'm saying. This is like, where'd you get the old coins kind of stuff, right? And so now he goes to a fancy high-end auctioneer who could get it to the right people, the nobles, the rich, blah blah blah, right? And he tells my brother, listen, first of all, get a change of clothes, smell less bad. They're going to want to hear a story. The rich people are bored. They want to live their life through you. Tell a good story, make it up. I don't care if it's true or not, as long as they think it's true, right? He's telling them this, right? Somebody was like, he's like, well, I'll just tell the truth. I'm like, okay. So he goes in there, right? And of course, the authorities from the city are there. He starts spouting off about some aspects of the truth and how, it got him in trouble right then there on the spot. Now, Pete's character is a cleric. He went in direct violation of church's authority. So he had to turn over all the money he gained from it. And my brother's like shaking. It's like, oh, fuck. Now he's like, thinking about leaving the city before the next session. You say, how am I going to abandon the city and everything? Because I'm on the hook now. I'm fucked, right? Consequences, right? This is it. And I got plans for this shit because there will be consequences.
Now, would that be, you consider that more of a proactive part of your campaign then, by them choosing to do that?
He chose to spout off. He was
Right.
warned not to. He spouted off, and there it is. And he's like, I forgot how binary your world is. And it is. There's like there is a hatred. There is a war. You know what I mean? And it's like there's not like the Rangers are going to get along with the Paladins. They will see each other kill on sight, right? And so there's this level. And he's like, I forget. I said, I fucking told you many times. So this is the
I have
world
to
you're in.
remember that when you start running your campaign, because this is going to be a lot different from the other one. Because the other one, there was a lot of
a lot of cooperation. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Let's come together and help each other, kind of a thing. Yeah.
So Paul, what do you got an example from play where you had like more of a proactive kind of aspect to your gameplay or campaign that you ran or was in?
I think I've been a part of some, and I don't. None come to mind where that was the intention necessarily. I think DMs that are listening they'll know what your goals are without you having to do a session 0 to figure that out. They kind of figure out your character. If you're always doing this, right? If you're always doing that, then that's kind of part of your character who's doing that. And I would say that I've played in more reactive games than probably proactive games in that regard.
I would say that, that's true. Yeah. Absolutely.
And that's just, and once again, but as far as like example, when I started playing this duet game with you, I don't think we ever started out with what are Hobbs's goals.
I never did either.
No, I think maybe I think for yours, it was more like establishing yourself in the guild. I mean, I don't know if that was it or not. That's what
I think part of right. I think there was, like an alignment there that just said that's who Hobbs is going to be. He's in this guild. He's in the Silent Knives. So why would he not? So then my character then says, well, I want to move up, right? So eventually then I become a crew leader. But that's part of working together with your DM, with your goals, whatever, to be proactive. In doing those type of things. So I think, like I said, reactive, but I'm wondering too, and the book brings this out too, though, that, the fact that, they say the statistics tell us that no sessions go past whatever, 6 to 8 sessions, lengthwise.
Right.
I'm wondering, and I have no proof for this. It's just me thinking out loud. If a game is more proactive, in other words, do people get tired of reactive games? Like, I'm going into the dungeon. That's it. You're just constantly reacting to evil, versus a proactive game, which keeps maybe people come to the table because their characters, they're somehow more invested in their characters. I don't know. I don't have any proof behind that. I'm just asking. I'm asking whether it's a thing or not.
I think, Paul, most 5e games and most modern gamers, they're coming in and it's like you get to 6th or 7th or 8th level, and that's where it ends, because I think they get burnt down on the campaign, or that's they get tired of the railroad of that, right? But on the flip side, Tim, this whole thing with Snickle has been reactive from the get-go, I think. But I'm proactive within it. I'm what I can be. It's not like I'm railroaded. It's just that every time I turn around, I get ass fucked. You know what I mean? It's you know what I'm saying?
Nice side.
And I'm like just trying to survive this fucker, So it's like, so I'm reacting.
That's pretty much Snickles' line, anyways. Is just
that's it.
Try to,
and Hobbs is the same. I'm trying to survive in this cutthroat world of thieves guilds.
Yeah.
Of there's something lurking around the corner everywhere. And now and part of it is just like you're trying to be as proactive as possible, but like I said, Tim's world has consequences that only he knows but they bring that out I'll say this, they bring that out in the book, that look, if you're failing at achieving your goals, those things have consequences.
Yeah.
You're failing. Even if you have a goal, it doesn't matter. If you fail at that, the world keeps moving and you have to deal with, that's the obstacle, right? That you have to deal with as a character. And you have to fight through that. And Hobbs has to do that. And now he has to watch over this crew, which is like having a family, that if Tim decides one day we're just going to go after one of his crew and bad things are going to happen, then I have to react to that. And then I have to figure out, I'm trying to be proactive and to try to keep things together so that crap does not happen to them. So I have to constantly
You're defensively proactive in Tim's game. You're trying to get ahead of the ass fuck. That's what it is.
100%.
You're always trying to get lubed up before it hits.
Look, I'm just trying to put my metal underwear on. So my chastity belt. So he can't get in.
That's it.
Wow. And the sad thing is you guys keep coming back every week for
hey, whatever.
Yeah. and I think one of the things too for campaigns in a lot, I think at the beginning levels it almost has to be a little reactive because you don't know what to be proactive with and what your abilities are and what you kind of, because I think it takes a little while to groove. I mean, I get it. If you do this story arc thing that they said in the last book, you can probably hit the ground running, going to do stuff. But if you look at, even if, I'm going to, I'm going to be, what I just said I didn't want these guys to do, use like books in movies. Most of the time the hero is reacting because something bad happened and now they got to go fix it. I mean, it's a classic thing. Yeah, you got rarely is there a book or movie that starts off with I'm going to go and kill everybody unless it's like John Wick or somebody who's been established for a while. You see John Wick in the opening scene and he shoots 25 people and only uses 3 bullets or something like that because he's been there, done that. This is what I got to do to get to my next point. But if he was a new, like say he was still Johnny Wick, he still, had his mullet and everything like that. But like in the first movie, I guess he reacted because his dog. I'm going to confess, never saw any of the John Wick
they were
movies,
good, dude. So. They were worth it.
But so then he goes and does that. But I think in gaming terms, though, too, I think a lot of them would start off with reaction until they kind of gain enough knowledge, gain enough idea of what power they're dealing with. Because if you've got a proactive guy and you start shit, you got to know who you're starting shit with, because if you starting shit with like, you go up to like in my campaign, like let's say Taryn goes up to Maride and Set and decides to, give him a Melvin, and Maride and Set turns around and basically just smites you back to wherever you went back to your mother and everything like that. But as you gain knowledge, you're like, okay, I can't do that. But then when I start building up power, I know how I can hurt him now. I know what I can do to him. I don't have to do that. I can do this. I can do that. And with that knowledge, you can be more proactive. Otherwise, that's what I said in the last video. You're making intelligent choices. Without that knowledge, you're just guessing, and you're not playing proactive. You're guessing.
Right. But look, I was going to say, look at John Wick, though. John Wick, his world is pretty linear in the sense it's not linear, but what do we say? His world is very already controlled. It's already in a controlled environment. Well, he shoots that guy in John Wick 2 in the hotel, and he knows the rules are no violence in the Continental. No, he proactively shoots this guy.
Yep.
And guess what? All hell breaks loose. He is now hunted by everybody. He broke the rules.
He's the Dark Lord they're reacting to, and yet he's the protagonist, right? He's the evil campaign, but he's not evil because he's avenging his dog. But I think that like you were saying before, Tim, all campaigns start off, no matter how much I say I'm running a sandbox campaign, the first 5 sessions are not a sandbox because they don't know the world. Right.
Exactly.
And that's one difference I have in here. I think I circled it in red and said, fuck you or something, but they're saying that like, here it is. Once you have
that's the kind of edits I get from him, by the way, Paul. My stuff to edit.
He just writes that in. Yeah.
Once you have an idea of the forces that will oppose your character's goals, so you as a DM, determine who directs those forces, where they are located, and other details. Brainstorm with the players if you like. Why would I brainstorm with the players on their opposition? Why would I brainstorm with the players about the world? This goes back to the other thing.
I'm going to defend that one though a little bit, Joe. You know my world. You've been through it, so therefore you have knowledge. And if you came up to me and then me and Paul had this discussion with Hobbs actually too beforehand. We talked about it. Say, hey, or maybe you come up to me and say, hey, I'd like to play. I don't know. I don't know, some insight. I want to play a guy who's trying to take down the Temple of Set or something like that.
Yep.
But I want to be on the inside of there and everything like that.
Yeah.
You and I brainstorm a little bit. We get the beginning pieces like kind of together, and we just run with it. Because when I ask you guys to come into my world, I ask for input. I ask for, because a lot of times, and I don't know if you guys remember this, a lot of times when I have somebody start out with me, I was like, we'll build your characters, and what's the one thing that's like you want that's sort of special for you? It's usually something small or whatever, but I want you to have something that's a little bit nuanced just for your character, and then it can be changed or whatever. But if you can make those choices, since I know, or my world, we can do that ahead. Now, me going into this new campaign, I can't do that. Exactly. I just want to explore it. I just want to go in there. I don't want to know anything really too much except what my character would know, and then I just want to start.
And that's the assumption I was making with the book, is this book seems to be written, and this is why I sort of like changed my opinion as fuck these people, because all they did was rename Sandbox Proactive and said, look what I invented, right? I mean, I gave them some leeway, because once I realized that this book, are we getting feedback somewhere? Seems like we got a little feedback. I don't know. That's weird. It's still clicking.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was a little weird, but anyway, I think that the book is good because it seems to be written for the new crowd that came to D&D in the last 8 years.
Right.
Right.
It's not for us. Necessarily.
It's not for us. It's for new people who they don't know what a sandbox is. And these people, if they just came into D&D 8 years ago, they don't know what a sandbox is either. And so they're thinking they're inventing something when they're all realized they just didn't know what the hell it was, because they're not part of the old school. They don't know what it's all about. And so it seems to be written for the DM who ran one campaign, maybe maybe Curse of Strahd or something like that, right? Video coming up on Sunday, by the way. Selfless plug. And it's like they ran this, and maybe their players played in it, or maybe one other one, and they're looking for something different, and they don't know what else is different, because all the official 5e shits are railroad from hell that suck, right? And so these people are like, well, shit, I'm playing different things, and here's my understanding, and here's why I did this analysis, and I'm going to call something proactive when it's just old school sandboxing, really, advanced sandboxing, not the dumb shit you did in a random hex crawl, but really, something where there's substance to it, where there's pre-designed stuff in there. And the new thing, though, is the goal setting. That's something new that they added that we didn't have so much, right? Like we never asked Snickle what his goal is, never asked House what his goal is. It's just the goal is to fucking survive. And I've never asked a player in my life what their goals are.
And why would they know it in the beginning? They wouldn't know.
They don't. The only goal they can have is a personal arc that they talk about in the other book that are stupid, right? So some character arc. So how would they know anything about the world? It's like when you come in with like, I'm orcs have kidnapped my wife and I want to find her. How do you know there's orcs in my world, motherfucker? How do you know where your starting area is? That's
why you go in the collaborative and you talk to each other. And like, there's not orcs in my world.
Gonna happen,
but there are purple lions that you can kidnap. But I really think this book is better. The one thing I like about it, because I when I'm reading it, I think we kind of default in general to reactive GMing as a whole, and this kind of opens, even though I do a lot of this, but I think we've talked about it, Joe. It makes me aware of it. It gives me like terms, or it gives me where it's like, oh, I do that, but I didn't realize I was doing that. And I think it is good for just any. Actually, I think it's written for us too, guys, and maybe not the whole thing, but I think there's enough throughout here that it would benefit even just old shitheads like us who are running a game, just to maybe have that little refresher, that little thing.
Yeah. If nothing else, it challenges preconceived ideas.
It does exactly
what you know, and then you compare it to, and then you kind of get a little inkling maybe of something.
The goal thing was the evil campaign was the decent insight, a couple paragraphs there, and the goal setting for the PC, as long as it's not a character arc thing, like, you know what I mean? It's in some sort of, if you could work in a goal, like if you want to come to me and say, hey, I like my ranger to, be whatever. Tell me some story, because I famously don't like backstories. But if you want to come and sit down, we'll figure something out. As long as it fits within the thing. You can't be a ranger in the city. You can't. You know what I mean? You can't be a paladin in a church of set, right?
No
you know
urban
what I mean?
rangers, no. Oh, okay.
Urban rangers, no, that's just stupid. But as long as we can figure something out, I'm willing to work with you about. All right, that could fit. Give me the gist of it, and don't expect anything, but I'll try to work some shit in, right?
Yeah,
that sort of thing, and that's definite. I mean, that's something like I'm gonna ask the kids game that I run. Next time we play, I'm gonna say, what are your fucking goals? I just assumed you wanted to go out, kick ass, take names to get their stuff, and level up and be powerful and affect the world around you, like every old schooler ever in history. Gain more power, affect the world around you in a greater scope. Right, that was always the goal. That was the inherent goal, because it was built into AD&D, where it says, and you become 10th level and you get a keep or a tower, or a whatever, or a parish, or you know what I mean. It was sort of, that was the implied thing, that so you strove for that, and that expectation never went away in my head. That was always the implied expectation of every D&D game. Why wouldn't everybody want to do that?
Right.
Yeah. So I think we agree that it's a good, insightful book. And if you get it, and I think we do a lot of this already, but it definitely helps out with maybe defining it or making you more aware of it when you're doing a campaign, or maybe just an adventure. In this case, I thought I definitely did like it better than the collaborative one.
There was more meat to this book.
I think so. I think so too. Yeah.
And it's like I said, here's the other reason to think about it when you read it, because if this book is that popular that Ginny D's endorse it and all this shit, and people's on the goddamn Barnes and Noble's bookshelf, and it's thin enough for the attention span deprived generation to read, big font, the whole bit, then people are going to come to the table with this as an expectation of this is how D&D could be, right? Especially younger people, right, who are new in their audience for this book. So it's good to know, like, if they come up with talking shit about, hey, is this a proactive game? Like, the fuck? Now you know what the hell they're talking about.
Right. No, absolutely.
True. In that regard, it's good. So, what do you give out of? I guess we never done this thing. They want to do the Siskel Ebert thumbs up. You want to do a rating of 1 to 10? How do you want to do that? Definitely, the last one was thumbs down for me, if we're doing it that way.
That's true. Yeah.
What do you think?
I'd give it the Raider, dude.
I would give it a thumbs up, because I think there's enough in there that once again will challenge your idea of proactive versus reactive, how you DM. It's just you're looking almost like in a mirror to some degree, and you're saying, what am I looking at here? Is is there anything I need to change, or is there anything I need to look at? And if you say no, that's fine. It's good. Don't do
them well.
That's right. Do your thing. So I think there's enough in there to say, hey, take a look at it and make decisions for yourself.
It's exhaustive in length, but I didn't need the examples. Other people may, right? So you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
I didn't, give me the headers, and I was like, okay, got it. I understood the points from the fucking paragraph headers. You know what I mean?
Right.
Good. Some of them I dove in a paragraph to understand what their point they were trying to make. But for newer people who had never been exposed to this, that's good. I think it was. I'll give it a thumbs up. It's a little lean, but a thumbs up. I'll give it a little lean to the thumb. A little leaning tower of Pisa, maybe. You know what I mean? A little leaning.
Yeah.
The lean only comes because they misappropriated cultural appropriation of the.
He worked it in. There it is.
I did work it in. I told you I would try to get that in there. Cultural appropriation of the sandbox. They renamed it. They took it from our grognard culture. So So Tim, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Thumbs up.
All right.
It comes into different things, because I also look at the physical aspect of the book. One of the things, I think the book's really well done. Like the font looks good and everything like that. The size I think is good.
Yep.
And I like the presentation. Plus the price point is good. I mean, it's a low level investment into it.
All their books are priced that way.
Yeah, I know all their prices are fantastic.
Yeah.
But if it say that was like a $40 book, I'd be like,
no way.
No, if it was, but definitely for what they present, I think of a full thumbs up for me.
All right, good deal. Good deal. All right, guys. So thank you all very much for watching. We're good to go. Watch our next video is going to be next week, next Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, and we're going to be talking about balance. Does the game have the balance, or should the DM balance the game? That's the question. That's the question. So you're going to see it next week. We're going to record it in about 5 minutes as soon as I take a leak. So thank you all for watching, and
You
Refill
know
the drink.
that, and now you can't know that.
Now you can't know
Exactly.
that anymore. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for watching, guys, and we will see you next week. Bye.
See you later.